All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Minnesota Vikings in tonight's video. This team's 8-2. Guys, the Minnesota Vikings are 8-2. Sam Darnold, the starting quarterback, obviously not ragging on Sam, but he wasn't, I guess he maybe was going to be the bridge quarterback. But the Vikings, my point is, their over-under on the season win total was 6.5. All right, ESPN's Football Power Index gave them a 14% chance to make the playoffs. It's currently like 95% right now. The Minnesota Vikings are literally 8-2, and people are missing the plot because they're on a 3-game winning streak right now. And it's been against Tennessee, it's been against Jacksonville, it's been against Indianapolis. It's the AFC South. It's not the most dominant division in football. People love to forget now that they took down Houston, just earlier on in the season, but. Obviously you watch the Minnesota Vikings, you're like, okay, it's not the most perfect team. They're 8-2. They deserve to be 8-2. But are we crowning them the NFC champions? Are we crowning them future Super Bowl champions? Obviously not. People, not Vikings fans, are just, they're missing the plot. I keep getting issues with this. I'll go on a quick rant because we're obviously talking about the Minnesota Vikings in today's video, and it's just like, this team's 8-2. And by the way, it is nothing like 2022, but as you guys know, I'm a Packers fan. And I was at Packers Bears last weekend, and we won on a blocked field goal. A football game, people say we shouldn't have won because of the blocked field goal. When I was there, I was watching the game. I thought Jordan Love against, you guys will see on Sunday, a top 5 passing defense in the NFL. In the divisional game, on the road, you take those. A win is a win. But it's no longer a win anymore. And so Vikings are really interesting because, like we just said, their season win total was 6.5. There were no Super Bowl aspirations. I remember seeing the news of J.J. McCarthy being done for the season and preseason and thinking, that absolutely sucks. That absolutely sucks. But people like to lose the plot here. But before we get any further into tonight's video, hit that like button, hit that sub button. Jeez, man, I'm out of breath. I'm working myself up here. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. We post a ton of Vikings videos on this channel all the time. If you could try and get this one, guys, to 300 likes, that would mean the absolute world to me. Keep in mind, I do have a Vikings channel. I'll pin that in the comment section down below. Kevin O'Connell's been doing a phenomenal job. Of the 10 head coaches hired in 2022, just a couple of seasons ago, he's won the most. And he's one of only 2 with a winning record. He is now 28-16 as the head coach for the Minnesota Vikings. And so a lot of people, get a little bit cautious, and they're like, this reminds me of 2022. And I saw this great article on ESPN, and the dude was just kind of going through some advanced analytical statistics. And I remember watching the Vikings in 2022 because, fun fact here, the first team I actually ever covered on this channel talking about the National Football League was the Minnesota Vikings in the 2022 season. Now, that year was crazy. It was crazy. It felt relatively lucky. It felt actually super lucky. Sorry. You went 13-4. But what was crazy is you had a negative differential in points, -3. Negative differential in yards gained, -463. They also had the worst DVOA for any team with 11 or more victories in the 45 years since the DVOA metric was established. This year, on the contrary, the Vikings ranked 5th in the NFL in point differential at +74. They're 9th in yard differential at +318. And conveniently, they are 4th in DVOA. So the point is, it's a way more complete brand of football. Now, obviously, I'm not sitting here saying the Minnesota Vikings are going to go to the Super Bowl. They're going to win the Super Bowl, but I do miss when NFL fans, had hope. I remember watching, what was that Super Bowl? Was it like 2001? Maybe it was 2002, where even like the NFC Championship game, I would have never, ever thought the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, in like today's era especially, it's just crazy that they even went that far. But, people just love to rag. They love to find the critiques, and I just don't really like it. And we'll get to some Vikings critiques in just a second here because, I know it's not perfect. I'm watching these games, and I know it's not perfect, but I was born and raised in an era where a win is a win. And once again, the Minnesota Vikings, their win prediction was 6.5, and people were hammering the under. Not Vikings fans, and honestly, not even NFC North fans, because we know the Vikings, and we know what this defense was capable of. We know they have Aaron Jones now. We know they had TJ Hawkinson coming back at some point. We knew they had Jordan Addison, and we obviously knew they had Justin Jefferson. But the defense this season's been insane. And we'll use Sunday as an example. The Minnesota Vikings won 23-13. And, outside of a 98-yard touchdown, the Vikings defense was absolute cash money. And if Jalen Naylor didn't drop a touchdown, you can make a very legitimate argument. I'm not here to play what if, but if we wanted to play what if, sounds like a fun game. The Vikings could have won this game like 30-6. Would have been a domination. You guys sacked Will Levis 5 times. In fact, your 35 sacks currently ranked 3rd in the National Football League, and your 37.3 pressure percent ranks 7th in the NFL. I'm looking at guys like Andrew Van Ginkel, Pat Jones, Blake Cashman. Blake Cashman, among all linebackers in Week 11, he had an 84.3 PFF grade. That was the second best in the NFL. But people aren't really concerned about the defense. But I was born and raised in an era where defense won championships, and I understand that's maybe not necessarily the case these days. So the big thing is offense. Now, Sam Darnold's bouncing back, all right? Swinging the momentum back into your favor. You guys entered the game on Sunday as one of the most turnover-heavy offenses in the NFL. Sam Darnold was coming off 5 interceptions in 2 games. It looked like 2019, 2020 Sam Darnold. He had 0 versus Tennessee. And I was at Tennessee's 2-8. I love making preseason videos like on all teams in the NFL. And Tennessee was really interesting to me because their defense is loaded with talent, and you saw it on Sunday. Sam Darnold was 20 of 32, 246 yards, and 2 passing touchdowns. He had the highest PFF grade at 90.8 of his entire NFL career, and he finished the game with 3 total touchdowns, 1 rushing and 2 passing. And the most important statistic, he had 0 interceptions. All right. So I get it. You have to keep it more clean. On the first possession, pitch to Aaron Jones, bounces right off of his chest. That was the Minnesota Vikings' 7th fumble over the last 3 games in which they've won all 3 football games. So, I'm fully aware it's not the most clean game like it was maybe in the first couple of months of the season. But the point is, the momentum's shifting a little bit here. It really is. And the final 6 games, 7 games of your schedule, you got the Chicago Bears twice. You got a tough road game this upcoming Sunday. You got Arizona, you got Atlanta, you got Chicago again, you got Seattle, you got Green Bay, you got Detroit. It's not the most friendly schedule in the National Football League, but Minnesota nonetheless is still just finding ways to win football games. You're just doing it. And with that kind of loaded schedule, because you got Chicago, you got Detroit, you got Green Bay, it's tough to win divisional football games like we've seen in every NFL North showdown or NFC North showdown this season. I did want to talk about the run game because it is absolutely suffering right now, but we'll save that for a video in the next couple of days. Guys, that's it from me. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. If you guys want that Vikings channel, go down below. But guys, you're 8-2. Give me some thoughts on this Vikings through the first 10 games of the season. Hit that like button, and we will see you in a day or two, baby. Peace. 8-2, man. 8-2, rep it.